Alright, we're gonna get started in about in about a minute. Yeah, let's wait till about, like, a minute. Not really minding, who we have for people watching today, mainly because it's really just a vibe day for me. I'm just kinda need to, I think there's just a bunch of stuff that I honestly just want to talk about, so... Can't really say there's just a point to today's stream other than just talk about writing. But hey, you never know. You never know what's gonna happen. Be kind of like a podcast day. Yeah, let's get started now, actually. Oh, god damn it, the size is big again. Oh, god damn it. This is a great fucking start. Hold on a second. Well, actually, hold on. Let me actually go back. That's, like, not the correct size at all. Oh, god. Like, how did that even change anything? It was fine earlier. Hold on. No, wait. Didn't I set it to just gameplay? Yeah, I did set it to just gameplay. God damn it. Maybe I'm the dumb one right now. Okay. That's a great start to the stream, but... Hello! My name's Foxboy Matt. Today is just kind of a chill day. I'm not really motivated to do really much anything other than just kind of play 14 a bit, kind of just talk about stuff I guess is on my mind. However, I'm gonna just be, like, starting a new character this time around. And, specifically this character is a very important character to me. For, like, a long time, I've had this character for, ever since, like, about middle school, I would say. Yeah, his name's Elrias Huntsman. He's a very integral part as to how I became a writer, and I'll, definitely get into that more once we get to the, more slower parts of the game, because I don't think I want to do, like, anything major, like, story-related. I can go through, like, some of the story bits uninterrupted, but I'll also, like... But for the most part, it'll mainly just be me talking about, you know, how this character specifically evolved to something much more than just something I created specifically for Final Fantasy XIV. So... Hold on. Game's loading. Okay, there we go. Character name cannot be used. Oh boy. What about Siren? Okay, what's happening? Character cannot be used. I'm sorry? Oh boy, here we go. Hold on, I'm gonna figure this out. Because last I checked, everything was kind of just fine? Hold on. I'm gonna disconnect my keyboard here real fast. And then I'm gonna... Yeah, here we go. Okay. The character name cannot be used. Please input another. Maybe it's like server-wide or something? I'm not entirely certain. But man, that is, that's kind of a bummed way to start this. Okay, let's go to a different data center. I have a couple Ariases on here, but that's not any of the... That's not what I want to use. Just load appearance real fast. I think I changed this eye color before I started stream. Yeah, it was about like... Yeah, it was about here. And then it was... Yeah, there. There. Sure, Hyperion. Why not? And then... I swear, I had a plan for this stream. Okay, that took. That's fine. That's completely fine. The world is currently full. Fantastic. So I guess while we're waiting for this, Elrias is kind of a big part of my writing lexicon, as it would. Like, my personal lexicon. What sort of happened was that I needed, like, some kind of character I could, like, attach myself to. For, like, any kind of fantasy genre, or just, like, you know, online persona, as it would. So I came up with the name Elrias just kind of, like, on a whim. Oh, story. Up the... Story! I guess we're gonna watch this cutscene first. A volume just a little bit. Also, sorry if my fan's being picked up by my mic. I'm just kind of... I'm doing a... Just, trying to stay fucking warm.
Here. Here, feel. Hear, feel, think.
So yeah, that's how the game starts. At least for me, I know legacy players in this game have a different open they can have. Yeah, this is kind of like reliving my first experience with this game. I remember this guy, like, so, like, back when I first started playing back in A Realm Reborn. Ah, yes. Planting evidence. That gets me every fucking time. Just like fucking BAP! Sent to the fucking Shadow Realm, that soldier. Hey, thank you for the follow. Ah, one of the new adventurers. I'm not sure what my answers to this were the first time around when I played this game. Either, like, gain power, win glory, amass a fortune. I'm not sure if I stayed silent here or not. I think originally I said to gain power, because Arias' whole backstory was that he wanted to get stronger in the magical ways, because he grew up in a warrior village, and he was, like, the only one with magical abilities that went anywhere, and he felt ousted by his, He felt ousted by the population of that village. So he would try to gain power, so he would specifically try to get more power. Silent protagonist is so me. Well, I'm not fully into silent protagonists. I think silent protagonists can be done, like, extremely well, but there needs to be, like, a lot of interaction with them besides, so... It would be neat to sort of create a silent protagonist, but since I'm, like, mostly writing stories rather than, creating video games, it would be kind of hard for me to, without giving it some kind of voice. Is this his first trip to Ul'dah? It's not my first trip, but for Arias specifically, yes, it is his first trip. I'm playing this character as if it was, like, back in, like, my first time, back in 2.0. Because, like, that was when I first started actually using this character, I suppose. Not sure if I should turn on, Yeah, let's enable auto advance, and then, let's keep it at that speed for now. Probably move my mic closer to my actual voice, actually. Otherwise it picks up my,
Deep in the sun-baked south, surrounded by the shifting sands of an endless desert, she rises. A solitary rose amidst the dust and rock, a symbol of defiance. Her name, Ul'dah. Even with the coming of the seventh umbral era, hope springs eternal for the mongers and merchants who vie for lost fortunes in this bustling oasis.
There we go.
As the twin faces of Nold Thal maintain their vigil over all that has been and shall be, the present proffers a brave soul. One whose arrival could mark the beginning of a new era of prosperity for the realm. May the traders nurture our fortunes as they kindle the flames which burn within us all. For by fire are we reborn.
Nostalgia's welling up inside me just watching this cutscene and playing this character for the first time in forever. And then we get stopped by man in sunglasses here. So now is admittedly the part where I have to change, some things about my HUD, because holy fuck. Holy fuck. Everything's big. Oh god. Oh god, I like that. Like, holy fuck. When was... Like, I know I'm playing on a goddamn legacy server, but, like, holy fuck. Was it, like, 16? Oh god, I have to change, like, everything. Oh god. Let's add timestamps and messages. Oop. There we go. That looks a lot better in my eyes. What about my HUD layout? What does it look? Oh god, yeah. Yeah, I have to change... You wish everything was big. Shut up. That's not the point. The point is, everything is small, and that's not, like, how I'm usually playing this game. Let's fucking turn on the hotbar again, because I actually use the hotbar. I need to fucking... Oh god, I am... First the whole I can't play this character on Ether business, and now I gotta fucking... change so much. Let's see here. I think that's about where the minimap was. I'm figuring this out as I go, guys. I'm not trying to fucking stall or anything. I'm just... Like, there has been issues where stuff's been small in the past, but also, like, it was manageable before now. Now I just need to get fucking used to changing everything again. Though, I don't think, like, a lot of stuff matters that much, especially since we're not really, like, doing anything substantial today. I mainly just, like, want to get everything set up for the future. Maybe I'll, like, mostly do that in... Maybe I'll mostly do that for, Maybe I'll do that off-screen later. First, let me target myself. Then, so I can... Because I don't want to tunnel. Wait, hold on, I forgot to... Yeah, there we go. Size doesn't matter. Okay, listen, I didn't set this fucking chat as 18+. Cut me some slack. Fucking let me set shit up! Let me get used to, let me get used to how I usually play this game. Active help windows can be disabled in UI settings. That's not something I'm used to. Oh, God. I know they fucking revamped a bunch of shit about Realm Reborn, but I didn't realize they revamped the mechanics of this shit. Oh, no. Huh. Anyway, now's the part where I tell you that this game has a free trial up to level 60 with the first expansion, Heavensward. Have fun with that knowledge. Okay, I am not used to this. I am not used to this, all of this stuff. So, what we're gonna do... We're gonna put this... down here. No, wait. We're gonna put it... We're gonna put it here. And then shrink it down a little. About like 80%. And then the New Game Plus guide, I can't turn off, so we're just going to move it back to the same thing as the scenario guide real fast. Then shrink that down to about 80 as well. Everyone make fun of the follow bot. Here we go. The follow bot's back again. I'm going to call out the follow bot every single time it shows up. It deserves to know its shame of being a bot. It needs to wake the fuck up. It needs to wake up from its fucking, from its purpose in life. I swear, we will get to the point of this stream soon. It's just a matter of getting past this one big hurdle for me. There is a point to this stream other than me pressing fucking the HUD button every 5 seconds. Danger we face when spam bots become sentient. Yeah, I can't wait to say it. Can't wait for the follow bots to go. You know what? Go fuck yourself. Can't wait for that fucking day. That will be the fucking day. Okay. I think everything's fine now. Wait, the element. I have fucking my name just hovering over my head. That's gonna be distracting. Let me fix that real fast. Or they get in on the memes. God, I don't look forward to that. Let's set that to 90%. And then set it right there. Yeah, that works. And then, character configuration. Display when targeted. Power settings, never. Wait, why is the HP and MP boards that fucking slow? Hello, we've been trying to reach you about your vehicle's extended warranty. Initials. Never, because I don't want my fucking screen to be clustered. When targeted. Initials. Friends can always have their name up. Enable the rec chat. Why would I leave that on? Hold on, need to still fix some stuff here. Show limited, show none, so that I'm not spammed. And there we go! Now we can play the video game! Until I realize I forgot to change it back to... The parameter bar's too goddamn small. My health may be small, but not that. Not that small. Alright. I forgot to disable that. UI settings. Display. Do not. Don't. There we go. Everything is right in the world now. Now we can continue the story, finally. Hello, tiny woman. She may look like baby, but she is not baby. In fact, she is woman. I also have a emotional attachment to her, given that this is the first starting city I've ever chosen in this game. I will protect her with my life. God, it's something stuck in my throat there. Basically, everything she's saying is, hey, warrior, we had heroes in our realm once, and now we don't. And we can't remember them, which is sad. And because I'm not a legacy player, I will not be remembered. I will not be remembered at the end of the game. I'm like the new Warrior of Light. Warrior of Light, the sequel. Speed this up just like there, just a little bit. Just so we're not stuck in cutscene hell all the damn time. Elrias Huntsman. Well, ain't that a charming name? Just rolls off the tongue, it does. No, actually it doesn't. People have messed up that name numerous times. There's Elrias, then there's rye bread, then there's fucking... terrible pronunciations, but it's Elrias. That's how it is pronounced! Also, capitalism is happening while I'm describing this. That man is about to get the shit kicked out of him because he did not pay his debts. That's pretty much it, but with that pronunciation's pretty much it, except without the T. Anyway, I'm skipping cutscenes because I've been through all this before, and that's not the focus of this stream. The focus of the stream is how Arise is important to me as a character, and how he has sparked me as a writer. So, Elias dates back to a long time, I think back in like 6th or 7th grade in middle school when I was getting used to having like some sort of online persona. That was like the big reason why that's like the big reason as to how he started out in my head. And as time went on, I wasn't really sure what to do with him. And then when I was, interested in playing Final Fantasy XIV for the first time, I realized, you know, this could be a good way to sort of, you know, build him as a character. Sort of just like, what's a good way to put it? Finally put ideas I've had for him onto paper that I wouldn't have otherwise. So, to start, I basically just sort of played him how I thought he would be in the game. Just this mage from a warrior tribe who's looking for, you know, his place in the world. And trying to, validate himself by, being this thing that he had been ridiculed for so long. So that's essentially the spark notes of, Elrise's backstory. As I played him, and as time went on, his representation sort of just evolved. He went from this mage to a swordsman who cares a lot about the kinds of people he protects, to this basically turning a fan character or OC self-insert into a more fully operational character. That's essentially what I wanted to do. What essentially happened was that he sort of just evolved as to what he became. He initially started as this swordsman who didn't really have any specific direction, to this mage who wanted to improve himself in the magical arts, to this fist fighter who wanted to sort of become the warrior that his father thought he couldn't become. And then he became a red mage, mixing in sword and magic to sort of just combine the best of both worlds. And then in Shadowbringers, he became a gunbreaker because he eventually embraced the warrior side of his heritage, and developed his own sort of hunter's creed to use the strength that he's accumulated for the sake of everyone around him instead of for his own self-discovery. And that's essentially where I left off with him, as far as where he ended up before I swapped on my main character to Celis of Verity as my go-to character, because essentially after the Hunter's Creed bit, it was like I couldn't really do anything more with him. Like, I was stuck in this spot where I couldn't really think of any other way to improve him within this game to any certain degree. So I essentially just kept him on the back burner and developed him, like, on the side as sort of like a contingency if I ever wanted to build him with an actual story. And so what ended up happening was that I ended up, I think, I ended up kind of forgetting him for a little bit. And, that's not something that's not something I'm essentially proud of admitting, is that I forgot this character who, has such a close connection to me that I'm gonna actually close the in-game chat here for a second because I don't want to get spammed on here. Yeah, let's just hide the log window for now. So what essentially happened was I forgot about him for a while, and essentially in the back of my mind he became this half warrior, half mage archetype where I really much enjoyed the mixture of spells and close quarters combat, to the point where, you know, it could work as his own character. And because he inherited his ability to wield an axe from his father, he essentially found his own axe that was able to channel magic specifically in his own special way. And so now in my current story, the one that I'm sort of developing right now, the Wandering Deity, Elrias has I think I want to say within a couple years before the events of the Wandering Deity took place, he became the Mage Knight of Granvale, the capital city of the continent the story takes place on. And so that's probably like the best way I could sort of tie off his character for the time being, because I wasn't really sure what else to do with him. It was sort of like this position where, you know, I wanted to create this character, I wanted to do more with said character. It was just a matter of how did I want to go about using this character to their fullest potential. And so I essentially came up to the conclusion of maybe he can be this side character, but instead of like a side character that only gets like talked about or focused on for like one chapter or one very specific art, we can come back to this character every so often, and that will showcase how important this character is to me, and will force me to sort of progress the character much more... what's the best way I can put this? Progress the character in much more meaningfully and substantially. Where I can, because I've had this character for so long, I want to showcase that this character is super important to me. And that he became more than this self-insert, more than this creation that was just, you know, hey, what if I was in a fantasy universe? What would be my motivations for being an Eorzea? No, I wanted to create a full-fledged character and sort of just build that more. I wanted to just... I'm probably like saying the same thing over and over again, and that's because that's just me working through my own thoughts myself. I wanted to, with Elrias, create a character that transcends the limits of a specific story, and instead allows me to maybe do something more with him in the future. Because right now he's just he's like a side major character in this story that I'm developing. But I do want to create an actual story, like a story that goes into how he became the Mage Knight of Granvale, that let him come to this point in his story that he could be in a place of power, a place where his limits could be tested consistently, and that I could develop trials for him that would be much more unique to him, rather than just, oh, this specific character is this character goes through the same trials and tribulations as any other main character, or the same character within this archetype. No, I want to create like a unique experience with this character. So and this sort of has forced me to become a better writer, because throughout my initial writings with Wandering Deity, I had issues sort of... My first chapter was basically just, you know, let's see how much action I can fit in, as well as how much consistent story I can fit in at once. And I think that's what I think that's why I'm going back and rereading Chapter 1 myself so many times, because I feel like there's ways for me to improve it. It's just a matter of where and how, because instead of like just having fights to just have fights, I want fights that showcase how a character is initially, what their personality and drive is, and to sort of tell a story with fights rather than just meaningless bit fights where there isn't much of a much development to be seen. And I'm honestly really glad that I have had this realization as I was mid-writing, because, you know, otherwise I wouldn't have come to this conclusion, because let's see. Elrias was my only character that I have developed substantially for a long, long time. And so I had not gotten myself used to writing other characters outside of his, you know, outside of his peripheral view or his space, because I essentially had this whole other like backstory or universe that he essentially transferred from to Eorzea, and I had to just try to translate it into a way that it makes sense within Eorzea rather than my universe and just, oh, he's from another land, instead of just... I could have gone the, oh, he's from another land outside of Eorzea, but no, that didn't make sense for me, so I had to rewrite a bunch of stuff that, basically said, oh, he's from another land or some secluded island in a far-off ocean. No, he came from an ocean that was nearby Eorzea, or nearby wherever his journey starts. And thinking back, I don't think that made a lot of sense. I don't think it made a lot of sense as far as, you know, just consistency, because I had a lot of issue when I came up with that to just I had a lot of issue with creating a cohesive narrative and backstory, because I was just coming up with stuff on the fly for like the longest time for Elrias. And so what I'm trying to nail down here is that Elrias is both the culmination of what I have become as a writer and what I admit are the flaws of my writing process. Because my writing process isn't like twofold, where I write down a bunch of story notes and I just go with the flow from there. For me, it's the matter of what's the story I can tell with the characters that are presented to me, what conflicts can they come to, what characters can I introduce to sort of create this compelling narrative. Because Elrias himself and his backstory had a compelling narrative, but outside of, you know, him, there wasn't much development, there wasn't much cohesion. And so I fully admit that Elrias is a flawed character from a narrative standpoint, both at the fault of myself, the writer, but at the faults of him as a character, because he essentially became this confusing archetype of a character, where there wasn't really a lot I could stick to, because he went from warrior to warrior again, to mage again, to like a mix of both, and then to warrior again, and then later on focused back into magecraft. And that wasn't a lot of cohesion to stick to. My initial idea for him was to just stick with magic jobs, not really touch on melee jobs, and instead just save that for other characters, but I guess I wanted to find a way to cohesively create characters that, cohesively create a character that did all that I wanted to do within this world. And that kind of backfired a lot. That backfired on Elrias as a character because he didn't deserve that sort of treatment per se. And he deserved like a more cohesive narrative and more cohesive and strict guidelines to follow. And so I say "and so" a lot, I know, that's kind of my issue. Elrias is a character I want to develop more, and I probably will develop him more as, like, I sort of have like these vibe streams where I just talk and play as him, and just get like this idea for him. But until that position comes, he's still just kind of a flawed character. In my story, he's the Mage Knight of Granville, and I'm working out a much more cohesive story to him. But outside of his world, he doesn't make sense. He's sort of... There's no way in this game to sort of just wield a great axe and also use magical abilities at the same time. Unless, like, unless I could say, like, you know, his abilities as a warrior or his abilities with a great axe came from his magical prowess. But that wouldn't make sense because the classification of the jobs that use great axes in this game evolve around a certain medium. What I'm trying... It's a hard process to sort of just have this character from a specific world and then suddenly have to tie his character and backstory to cohesively make sense in another world. And that was essentially hard for me to do. And so Arisa ended up becoming this flawed character. And I don't want him to be a flawed character anymore. Especially since I want to play him more in Eorzea, because I think Retribution and Redemption is a character arc I emotionally attach myself to. Characters that sort of go through this rough cycle in life, or just have like the worst luck imaginable, have this sort of breakthrough moment in their thought process where, like, oh, what if I did this instead of this, and just flip my entire perspective that other people have of me on its head. Because Arias, quote, is a mage first and foremost. He may wield an axe, but magic is his forte. And so when it comes to deciding what job he should play, it's either going to be within this world, either a summoner, a thaumaturge, or black mage, a red mage, or a blue mage. And blue mage is a limited job, and not a lot I can do with, because blue mage is not a job in this game that allows me to progress in the story, which really sucks, but I digress. Point is... No actual point is, actually. So, I'm limited on my options, per se. I could instead go a healer direction. Sage is coming out, and that is a job I am absolutely looking forward to. That is a job I want to main on the character I play as the most. Like, I want to play a healing job as a main. I have to grow the cynicism and the patience to do it, but I want to do that because I love Sage as a job that much. And Orias himself could become a Sage, but I'm not sure if healing magic is his forte. Like, he is mainly a get the job done sort of guy. He wants to, instead of focus on what he can do, he wants to focus on what he should do at the current point in his life. And so black magic is sort of like the best foot forward for him, because it allows him to end fights in a very powerful manner, and it also allows him to just, you know, embrace himself as a mage, if that makes any sense. So I guess taking away from Elrias for like a little bit, taking away from focus on him for the time being, I think what I want to focus on for right now is me as a writer. Because I'll fully admit I am an aspiring writer, but I'm not going to say I'm like the best writer ever. I still have issues with stumbling over my meaning, my interpretation of some things, and how I could have things come across is could be a lot better. Hold on, let me divert my attention to chat real fast. Just make sure that when you create a job system or a magic system, it's unique to your story to avoid becoming a fan fiction. I try not to dive into fan fiction territory, mainly because, like, I've grown past the age of writing fanfiction, and more so I've focused my time on creating original stories. Like, the magic system in my world is that there are these lakes, which I have dubbed pools of mana, which are basically like... which are essentially the magic system. There's no, like, real, mana management system within the specific character, because magic in Geo, my world, is very specific. If you cast magic, you're essentially using the land's resources. You're using the resources that come from within the land itself. You don't want to, and so mages or wizards within that story have to be careful with what kind of spells they cast, because one spell that gets misgauged, or a spell that just goes in the wrong direction, could have serious implications on the world as a whole, because mana itself spreads throughout the entire world from those mana pools. And so if, like, one vein of mana gets dried out, that's essentially like draining resources from a nearby pool of mana, or kind of redirecting a vein somewhere else. Yeah, like, it's essentially like raw energy in a raw power source. Except it's, like, heavily respected in the way that, you know, one false move could throw the entire world's balance on its head. It's one of those things where I wanted to create... The way I enjoy magic a lot. I enjoy the foundations of magic and how it can be used to progress a world and sort of create an interesting sort of... Oh, that's my alarm going off. Hold on, let me turn that off. I respect magic a lot, and a magic... There is no real job system. There's no, like, real jobs or the only really power structure within Geo is its mana system, because any form of magic drains the resources of the mana spot, of, like, the vein of mana that comes into play in any fight or any circumstance. So it has to be in this way respected and sort of taken into account. You're not necessarily fighting for your own safety, but you're fighting in the most efficient manner that doesn't fucking destroy the world. And so when I came up with the power structure and the power dynamics of Geo, I essentially had to think, what can affect the world rather than, what can one's actions Actually, this actually dives into the entire, ethos of my world. What actions can one person have upon the shape of the world? And I wanted to employ that as much as possible. Like, light and dark in my world are not like this, you know, yin and yang, or like this idea of, hey, the world could be better, it's just a matter of how can one's actions define the world. It's essentially this idea of how everyone has an impact on, like, any form of change. And that's what I enjoy about my world. It allows me to focus on the idea of, I need to, when writing this story, what characters' actions will heavily impact how the story of the world itself plays out. And yeah, it is like chat says, just one's personal tactical skills rather than jobs. How well can you manage yourself and your surroundings in a fight, rather than just, like, you know, end the fight as quickly as possible? Because, yeah, you can end the fight as quickly as possible, and you can, like, destroy your enemies with one powerful explosion spell, but that also but there is circumstantial evidence within the world's backstory that that's not so much as a good idea, because the deities in the world are also affected by changes in mana. Like, they're specifically tied to the pools of mana that they are born from. if you essentially drain a mana pool of all of its resources, you're essentially killing a god. It's essentially deicide. But canon-wise, the world specifically doesn't know about that. Don't fucking spoil anyone who's read the story that I've shared around. It's just a matter of, what's the best way to put this? How can the people affect the world without knowing that every single decision they make can affect it? It's every character in my stories wants to go through some sort of learning experience, whether it's discovering the secrets of the world or finding something in themselves that they didn't realize was there otherwise. What I want to do throughout all of my stories is have characters go through this epiphany or this burst of growth that has, sort of just built itself up over time and sort of just became this thing you're waiting to pay off for so long, and then at the pivotal moment of the character's drama and the character's issues is a payoff that pays well. It's sort of like, what's the best example that I don't want to use in a story? Let me think here. I'm gonna give myself a wooden shield while I give myself that. Let's see here. Let's say this gladiator who's skilled in his martial ability so much that there's no real way for him to improve. And he wants to improve more. He knows that that's not the limit of his power. He can go further beyond what he's used to. Will the story be a set of short stories, or are we following one character? It's more so, it's following a set of stories rather than one character specifically. There's only so much I can do within Wandering Deity. There's only so much I can do with a god of magic before it essentially becomes, oh, let's have the god of magic solve all of our problems. That would not be entertaining. Like, the story of Averti is one of discovery as a deity, rather than just, her learning the ways of the world. She already knows the ways of the world. It's why is she specifically in the world? What I want to do is create this set of characters that have to go through this sort of cycle of discovery where, let's see here, that end up having the character evolve from what they used to be. So let's go back to the gladiator. Gladiator example. There's no way for him to specifically improve himself, so he goes on this journey through multiple regions to sort of find out what specifically he's missing to continue his development, because he doesn't want to stay in stasis forever. He wants to continue being the best and then pass on what he's learned to other generations so that they themselves can pass his limits. So as he's traveling, he meets all these sorts of people with different fighting abilities, these different ways of thinking, these ways of going about battle, going about life. And he ends up coming to his epiphany that maybe he's becoming one-track minded. He was so focused on gaining power or becoming the best warrior in the world that he fails to take into account what else he can do. That's the kind of self-discovery I want to have, that it's this big moment where, there's something lacking or there's something missing that I didn't realize all along. The thought was there, I just didn't know it was so noticeable to others from the beginning. To me, my stories within Geo revolve around discovery a lot, and I definitely want to focus on that very much. I don't want the characters to be like, these one-track characters where where they just, you know, they get better and they make way for the next character who needs to make development. No. I want to create characters who develop more, even if it's minuscule. I don't want to dive into creating stereotypical characters. And while I agree that stereotypes are a good baseline for characters, they're not how a character should be. They're more of a how a character starts out. Like, you can start off as, like, the stereotypical sort of bratty child who always got what they want when they were younger, and you could have them go through the story of maybe they were being selfish or rude during their childhood, and they go through this epiphany of being selfless and more caring about others around them and more careful of their circumstances. But what if that was done in a more interesting way? What if he had what if there was an option where he could make someone's life better, and he was forced to make a decision where either someone did it for him or he did it himself? What branching path can be created from that? What branching path could be created from the idea of this character has a choice in what he can do, and the reader is aware of the choice the character can make? It's just how will the decision end up creating the payoff? I understand that, like, my thought process of this is, like, extremely far-fetched, could be interpreted as extremely far-fetched or way too convoluted. But I think convolution for me is necessary because it gets me thinking about how I want to go about writing my stories rather than just, oh, this character can just be like, this character can just go through the obvious path of redemption of going from this greedy to selfless person. But what if the person still ended up being greedy in the end, but was greedy in a much more different way? Like, maybe he's greedy for other people. Maybe he's greedy for some other benefit. There isn't really a way I can align my idea to someone else's writing style, because everyone's writing style can be interpreted as different. What I want to do is be unique with how I tell my stories. Like, there can be an extremely good way to write a story, and there can be an extremely bad way to write a story. It has a lot of goals you want to make, but not the development of the details. That's essentially what I want to focus on as I'm writing The Wandering Deity as itself. I can develop the details as I'm writing this. Sorry, I might need to get some water after this next point. Yes, exactly. It's a matter of ideas, but it's the execution that needs attention. That is something I heavily try to focus on when writing. I love the idea of having perfect execution of my ideas. I just don't want to rush the execution of it. I want to test where I can go with said execution and how far I can take it. That's just how I want to write stuff. I want to have, like, ideas that can be executed well on paper and executed well in practice. It's a very lofty goal, I can fully understand, but also I think lofty ideas for execution are what's needed to create the best story possible. Anyway, I'm gonna be right back. I'm gonna go get some more water and take my meds, and I'll be back in just Alright, I'm back. So, what was the point I was on? It's a matter of execution, a matter of it's like a matter of ideas, but it's the execution that needs attention. That's essentially what my writing process is. I have a lot of ideas in what I want to do for my stories and the scenarios that I come up with for said stories. I just need to execute them in the most unique and attractive way possible. There is a best way to write a scenario and then a worst way to write a scenario, and I don't want to be on the wrong end of that idea. You just need to, for me, I just need to like I sort of approach this like how I approach, you know, my homework back in school. I wasn't procrastinating. I was Man, that was the worst way I could have worded that. Hold on, let me let me re-say what I want to say. Execution, I wanted to do the work, but at the same time, I didn't want to turn in a half-assed mess or like didn't come to conclusions I didn't learn from. Because if I can write a good scenario, but I make mistakes along the way, that's a learning experience for me for later. Like, I can have people peer review my studies and stories, and they can give me as much critique as possible, and I'll take it all as a learning experience and try to change and adapt as the critique comes in. Because I appreciate that kind of critique. I appreciate the kind of idea that, there is something to learn from people saying bad stuff about your work. I'm gonna start taking breaths more often now just to make sure I don't drain my water, because condensation in this room's fucking insane. Like, I've been sweating all day for no good reason. Like, I've had my fan on the whole damn day. But, like, it hasn't stopped. I haven't stopped sweating ever since I finished taking a shower. It sucks. What's anyone curious about the world that I've created? Like, I know I've mentioned that the world itself is named Geo. I've explained the sort of power structure and power dynamic of the world that says that it's not a matter of finishing a fight the fastest, it's finishing it efficiently and with less resources drained as possible. But I haven't really gone into sort of like any other details that people have come into. I haven't really had a lot of chances to talk about the stories I've made, but like, or like the story I want to create. So I'm honestly curious of like, what are people interested in? What are people interested in seeing in a story that I think will make the story much more interesting and unique? Because I could have like a whole podcast of like me and a couple other writers sitting in a room, and we just talk about all these ideas we could have for our stories. But at the end of the day, it's a matter of like creating this execution that makes sense, you know? Like, we have ideas for our world. It's just a matter of voicing our ideas for it and then seeing how other people would want to go about it. That's the way I think of brainstorming groups like but hey, everyone has their own ideas and ways of writing. Let's go back to talking about Orias for a little bit. I wasn't expecting him to become this self-insert original character into this full-fledged character that I wanted to do more with. And it was something I wasn't expecting, and I think that, I enjoy that aspect of surprise. That, like, I could create this character, like, on the fly. I could just create this character for, my own purposes, or just for my own whimsy, as it was. As I could say. But at the end of the day, at some point, I'm gonna develop that character more, and I'm not gonna be able to control that, and part of me wants to just, you know, create that next big character more. Like, I can have, like, a small character just sort of develop into this character that, into this idea, or whatever, in a substantial way that I wasn't expecting. That's what I love most about writing, is just the ability to have something small evolve into something big, and in a way you weren't expecting it to. And I'm honestly really glad I decided to take up writing as a hobby just for that alone, because I enjoy putting my ideas and scenarios on paper. I like pitching fun ideas. I like pitching creative outlooks on different scenarios. And so I think writing The Wandering Deity and the stories that I want to make for this world in the future is going to allow me to have that. Of course, it may not, like, actually go anywhere monetarily. It could be this thing I'd, like, do on the side as a hobby and have this be posted on the internet instead of, like, actually publishing it or creating something as big like an animated series or a video game. But what matters to me at most in the end is, you know, creating a compelling story. That's all that really matters to me when it comes to writing. Creating a compelling story. Like, it doesn't need to be... it doesn't need to be this AAA video game or this blockbuster hit of a movie. If it's, like, something people enjoy reading, then there's a point to creating it. That's at least my mantra when it comes to it. It sort of, like, dives into the same mantra I've had for creating content or streaming. That if I'm able to make people, that if at least someone, whether it's my intended audience or not, if they enjoy my content, then I feel like I've succeeded as a creator. I still need to push myself above and beyond that sort of mantra, though. But as long as people are happy with the stuff that I do, then I really just enjoy what I do, and that pushes me to be better. And that's why it's another reason why I'm getting back into streaming so much. Not just for my mental health, but because I enjoy entertaining people. I enjoy entertaining all kinds of people. This has been a stream where it's been an hour of 20 minutes of just me spouting my views and opinions on how I go about my writing process. And honestly, I think I needed that. I honestly needed that, I honestly needed a way to vent these thoughts. Because there was no way I could, like, definitively write this down in a meaningful way. I think for me, actually saying it and actually going about it in a new way is gonna end up letting me create better stuff. Like, just from the pinball stream, like, earlier last weekend. From that pinball stream, I had, like, an entire idea of, like, Wednesday becoming, like, vibe streams and just shooting the breeze and all that junk. And like, weekend streams becoming, like, this retro arcade showcase sort of thing, like showing off retro arcade cabinets or like old games I never would have thought about playing before. Like, I never would have gotten those ideas if I didn't, like, take a chance and play a game that people genuinely enjoyed seeing me play. Yeah, it does help to get my thoughts out loud. It also, when I download the VOD, it allows me to just hear back what I want to do, and, you know, in the future, it can serve as, like, how far, a pivotal point on how far I've come as a creator. And honestly, I think I needed this stream, because, I've had writer's block for a good while. Like, I've had idea pitches for certain scenarios within, like, a roleplay scenario. But it was just a matter of, you know, what's going to be fitting for me and what's going to make me happy in the long run. What's going to make me enjoy going forward with it. So, yeah, I'm honestly happy that I took this stream today to less focus on entertaining people and sort of giving them taking it upon myself to try to entertain people and just sort of, you know, vent what's going on in my head. I know I have, like, a therapist for that stuff, but, like, I don't know. I think I think my therapist should be sorted for, like, my emotional state or mental state or how well I'm, like, treating myself. And then vibe streams like these is where I can, like, shoot the breeze and just pitch ideas and gauge other people's reactions to it. Cured artist block is to try anything. Pretty much. It's just I'm very hesitant with my ideas sometimes, but I'm definitely, thanks to my therapy session yesterday, I'm in a better position to just do stuff for me now. Like, during my therapy session yesterday, I talked with my therapist a bunch about how I sort of have just been doing things under the guise of doing it for other people rather than, you know, doing it for myself and creating and doing stuff for my sake rather than constantly being selfless. And, you know, my therapist said something that, I think really stuck home with me is that I'm already doing enough to, help people with, going through their issues by just giving them a listening ear. And that the fact that I want to do more is noble, but what I'm doing is already so powerful. So, it's made me rethink about how I go about just, you know, a lot of things in general. It's made me think about, what reasons am I doing stuff? What reasons am I going about things? And so I'm kind of in a position where I just want to try anything and try seeing how it makes me feel. And that's kind of just why I wanted to test out this vibe stream format. Like, I'll probably end off the stream soon as I finish up the side quest chain, and then next time we play this character, we can more focus on the story aspect of everything again. And then maybe focus on Elrias more, because, you know, he's still an important character, and I've only delved somewhat into him. So I think the end of the stream is probably, like, coming up pretty fast. And honestly, I wish it didn't, but I honestly had fun just shooting the breeze and talking, you know, about just about anything. And I'm honestly happy that I did. We'll skip cutscenes. Now we're just gonna do a bit of fighting. I guess the moral I can have to the stream is just like, you know, if someone's willing to listen, if someone's like willing to listen to like you shooting the breeze and just venting off your ideas or how you're feeling, then all you need to do is listen and just like, you know, be supportive about it. Listen, advise, but do not instruct. It's up to them to support themselves. Pretty much. Oh, I forgot to take down the Verta Scripture over there. God, seizure over there. God damn it. Hold on. But I guess I'm in a lot better place now. I guess that's the moral of that sudden tangent of me and my emotional state was just I'm in a better state now, and I'm ready to push forward with ideas I've been hesitant to do. And just ahead of time, I'd like to thank you all for coming out today's stream, even though it's for, it's just for me to vent off, characters and how I write and how I just... It's been focused on me. But hey, I sort of just... I wanted to, focus on me for the time being. For this stream, I wanted to focus on... You know, kind of just explain how I do things, I guess. Plus, it puts me in a better position when I actually want to, go forward with stuff, is when I have a, better grasp on what to do. Because even just from, like, me just shooting the breeze, I've already come up with a few ideas on how I want to move forward with the story I'm currently writing. But hey, sometimes that's just the, sometimes it's just what happens. And, can't really complain about that. Alright, let's return to Ul'dah, turn in this quest, and then we can call this stream, I'm gonna say, a relative success. But I'm not level 8, so I was wondering why I wasn't applying stuff. I'm not gonna question the Rogadin in a hot pink bunny outfit, but let's move. But let's haha. Ooh. Hell yes. Now I have stupid boots. Anyway, I think we'll end off by sitting here. Boom, there we are. Alright, I'd like to thank everyone for coming out to today's stream. I'm very happy that everyone was patient enough to listen to me or just have me in the background as I just vent off shit. And I appreciate everyone coming out and who, you know, contributed to the conversation, if anything, if either a little or a lot. Anyway, Saturday stream will be, I think another retro game. I'm not sure which one. Or it might be a game that I have wanted to play for a while, I just haven't had the motivation to. Anyway, my name's Foxboy Matt. Thank you all for tuning in. And I will see you guys when I see you. Take care.